Thank you for coming here today to hear about our much anticipated Ybor ballpark plans. I'm Matt Silverman, and I'm proud to be throwing the first pitch today. Consider me the starting pitcher, or as we like to say, the opener. Before I hand the ball to Stuart Sternberg, I'd like to recognize a number of guests and groups who have joined us here today. First, our founding owner, Vince Namoli. Thank you, Vince. In the front row, Rays manager Kevin Cash. We have a number of sponsors here. I won't have the time to name them all by name, but thank you all for being here today. We have the Tampa Bay 2020 Advisory Board and the Rays 100. Thank you all for being here today. We have a number of elected officials, excuse me if I don't have the full list, but I have seen Hillsborough Commissioner Sandy Merman and Les Miller. Pinellas County Commissioner Dave Eggers. Tampa City Councilman Guido Maniscalco, Luis Vieira and Mike Suarez. Hillsborough School Board members Sally Harris, Susan Valdez, Lynn Gray, and Tamara Schaumberger. And last but not least, Tampa Mayor Bob Buckhorn. Again, thank you for joining us today, and it's my pleasure to introduce Rays principal owner, Stuart Sternberg.
It's a historic day for us today, and we expect for Tampa Bay and the region as well. This is one of those days where I get to step aside a little bit and let have all the people who've done the great work, whose hearts have been poured into this opportunity that we've got, show you all the incredible things that we've done and how excited we are to get this done. We have spent our existence here in Tampa Bay as a baseball team defying a lot of expectations. Even this year, although we're only 2 games over 500, and I know that's not enough for Kevin and his crew, people have talked about us tanking and things like that, and those of you who know us, we like to under-promise and over-perform, and I know this is going to be one of those issues where you're going to think the world of what we're going to show you shortly, and we're going to even over-perform that. I want to thank you all for being here today, this afternoon, at this historic Ybor site. It's an amazing building, an amazing space, and I want to thank everybody for allowing us to use it. It's a very, very fitting location for our announcement today. For years, we've been working towards this day to reveal our vision for the future of baseball in Tampa Bay. Soon you'll see the extraordinary work product of our staff and the talented, very, very talented team of architects, designers, and experts who've been working alongside of us and guiding us as well. You'll hear directly from them and see for the first time in public the meaningful work that we've done. I'm certain their passion and innovative approach will resonate with each and every one of you. It's a dramatic break from the past to create a ballpark that can be used year-round, a park that will be celebrated for its ingenuity, practicality, and beauty. We have rooted each and every design decision in what will make for and provide the greatest baseball environment and experience. At the same time, we've designed a structure and environment that every resident of Tampa Bay can access and enjoy year-round, a home with flexibility to grow and adapt as the future unfolds. I'm proud and incredibly excited to present to you our vision of a ballpark, and one that is of, by, and for the people of Tampa Bay. Now, to reveal our plans and our designs, I'll hand over the podium to Rays Chief Development Officer, Melanie Lenz.
Goodness gracious, here we are. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Stu. Let me just make sure this works. So, like we start off with everything, we're gonna start off today with our mission, which is to energize the community through the magic of Rays baseball. And that just doesn't guide what we do on the field, it guides what we do off the field, and it has guided this process, this whole planning process. So at the very beginning, for the last 2 years, we've been talking about our ballpark guiding principles, providing a baseball experience like no other, building a defining icon for Tampa Bay, creating an innovative and sustainable ballpark, and looking beyond baseball to activate the site year-round. It's great to see so many people in this room, and I feel like I've had so many conversations with so many of you in this room, because we have spent the last 2 years also gathering feedback, whether it be through blue sky workshops or one-on-one interviews or surveys or participation through the website. It has been our goal to get out there and ask you what you want to see in your next Rays ballpark. And what we've been doing is we've been asking you guys, what if? So what do you really want? And so many of those ideas, I really think are woven into what you're gonna see today. And I can't thank you enough. So many of you have participated in that process, and it's great to see you out here. So when we talk about priority, it's not changing up there, right? There we go. So as we're having all of these conversations, really fan comfort and game certainty are our top priorities. We spent over 9 months doing extensive climate influence design analysis, truly understanding what the best way would be to allow for fan comfort and game certainty. We worked with M&E, Stantec to do extensive modeling, and really we confirmed that the only way to achieve fan comfort and game certainty, especially during our hot and rainy summer months, was through an enclosed air-conditioned building. Further analysis of this building, I know, wow. Really, it's hot and it rains here in the summer? Wow, okay. Surprising. Further analysis of our climate confirmed that there would be really very limited opportunities to open an operable roof. And a detailed cost analysis confirmed how very expensive an operable roof would be to not just build and construct, but also to operate and maintain. So we challenged ourselves and our architects, that you'll hear from soon, and our engineers to develop new ways to bring the outside in. And that's one of the most exciting things that we're doing about this project. We're bringing the outside in and celebrating our natural environment under a fixed, translucent roof. So knowing, sorry. Okay, anyone Anyway, there we go. So, knowing that we had to have a roof, we had 3 key goals: that this roof had to be elegant, it had to be efficient, and it had to be economical. First and foremost, it has to accommodate the flight of the ball. And I know that may sound like a silly thing, but we all know why that has to be. The building and the roof must step down from Adamo and gently connect to the historic district. It's got to be light and translucent, but it also has to be energy efficient. And there has to be a seamless transition between the building and the roof materials. And so all of this feedback, these guidelines, really led us to the vision for this ballpark. I feel like I'm gonna reveal something to you. Jeez. All right, there we go. The vision for this ballpark is a unique, reimagined, intimate neighborhood ballpark. This is not a stadium, this is a ballpark. This is a neighborhood ballpark. It's located in the heart of Tampa Bay, one that honors Ybor City's rich history, while strengthening the community and connecting it to Tampa's urban fabric and the entire region. This is our next generation ballpark. I get excited. So just to orient everyone, we're now looking at the ballpark. We're on 4th, looking south at the ballpark. Channel side is on that side, and 15th is on that side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a bit of a walk around the ballpark right now to really talk about this vision. This ballpark will be integrated into the urban fabric. It's going to utilize and respect historic Ybor City design language, which incorporates everything we love, right? The balconies, the varied facade heights, the loggia, and the public realm and the street just blending together perfectly. It's going to be activated by storefronts that celebrate local businesses and incubator spaces exposed to the public to showcase future innovations inside and outside. Oh, this makes me so nervous. There, darn it. It's going to have we're going to figure this out in a minute. It's going to have lively neighborhood festival streets. Ybor City is known for its great festivals, and it's going to have festival streets adjacent to the stadium, some of which we closed on game day so that the public realm really bleeds between the ballpark and the public spaces. We're going to have active gathering spaces that'll include water walls and splash pads as features for climate comfort, character, and ambiance. So I love this shot in particular because it showcases just a small snapshot of the work at Mike Parker. Is Mike here somewhere today? Mike had done the amazing murals on Adamo. And so this is just, in our minds, an example of bringing art alive through these really great active gathering spaces. And I want to thank Mike for allowing him to use this image. So we're traveling down 4th now, and we're at the corner of 4th and Channel Side. It's going to have a dynamic and activated public realm with generous sidewalks that really can accommodate pop-up events, cool street furniture, signature lighting elements, and really celebrate the unique sense of place. It's going to be contextual to the urban scale, and I think this image really shows how the building steps down and nestles into the historic neighborhood. And it's going to have generous entry points around the building perimeter to help enliven the public realm and create gateways, not just to the ballpark, but into the community. So this is a shot at Adamo and 15th. And so as we travel around the ballpark, hopefully you get the sense that the ballpark changes and interacts with the neighborhood as the neighborhood changes. And that was really important for us to be respectful of the historic neighborhood and then start to change the design as we traveled around the ballpark a bit. So at this point in time, yeah, there we go, of course. That's too far. At this time, I'd like to bring up Joe Spear, Norman Friedman, and Pat Tangen of Populous to talk about how this ballpark will provide a baseball experience like no other. Joe's going to introduce his team, and it's really difficult for me to introduce Joe. We've been working together for really the last 12 years. Joe is the best ballpark architect in the world, and I can't, there's no other way. There's no other way for me to say it. He's designed some of my favorite ballparks like Petco, Camden, Coors, AT&T. And these ballparks have helped transform their cities, and they've actually become icons for their respective cities. And so I think that the experience that Joe and his team bring to this project is just, it's an exciting team to be a part of. So, Joe?
Okay, so as Mel said, I work for a firm called Populous, and it's actually a fairly bizarre firm because we built the firm doing sports architecture, and it's one of only a very few firms that specialize that way. We've done hundreds of sports projects. The office has done 20 of the 30 existing Major League Baseball parks in the world, I guess, not just America. I have worked with 15 Major League Baseball clubs on their facilities. And I would really want to thank the Rays for what they have done with us here. They have challenged us to really tear apart the traditional ballpark model and reinvent it so it's all about Tampa, all about the fans, all about the region. And I really think if you guys would applaud them for that, I would certainly appreciate it. So I'm going to say a few more words, and I think, Norm, you're up next. Is that correct? Yeah? Okay. So with me today, Pat Tangen, just stand up, Brian Smith, Norm Friedman, Chad Hemmerly. These guys, and we have a few consultants here, Dylan, if you can stand up, and Keith. I think Keith will talk later. Dylan represents Walter P. Moore, our structural engineer, and he's available for questions and answers. Probably have a few of those here in a few minutes. I just want to say that it's really unique to have a client like the Rays who are really pushing us. She talked about blue sky sessions, and there's been a lot of those where they say, why would we do that here? Or why would we not do this here? And I think that's really pretty special. It gets me pretty excited because the client is open and looking for something that will be very exciting and very special. And at the end of the day, we want success here to look like the fans love this ballpark and the whole community. Because if you do that, then you really hit a home run. Norm?
I'm going to test it. Back. Oh. There we go. I'm Norman Friedman. I've had the pleasure of working with the amazing Melanie Lenz for over a decade. Over 10 years ago, we were working, Joe and Brian, Pat and I were working with Melanie and the Rays on the waterfront ballpark in St. Pete. At about the same time, we were doing their spring training facility, $27 million facility, which is among the least expensive spring training facilities. Now they're getting upwards of $40, $60, $120 million. And we've been on this journey, and she has been leading us on this journey probably for the last year and a half or 2 years. So we're going to talk about the baseball experience. If we can get on the right slide. It's tasking me, but I think I can. I think I can do it. So what's the baseball experience here? Fan-friendly neighborhood ballpark. I mean, it'll be a ballpark that Major League Baseball, their fans, and frankly, populace has never seen before either. We're going to have an arrangement of seating and an intimacy that we have never introduced into a ballpark before. The size is the smallest in Major League Baseball, so the total capacity is 30,842. Fixed seats are 28,216, so the remainder SROs, standing room only folks. These are the people that get to enjoy all the unusual niches and balconies and drink rails while they're watching a game. There'll be a variety of seating types, from swivel seats to loge boxes to fountain seats to patio boxes. And we've talked about it being an intimate ballpark, but the nose to field dimension will be the smallest in all of Major League Baseball since the 1940s. I mean, really the only other two are Wrigley and Fenway, and they have columns in the seating bowl. We will try to avoid that. It is a fully enclosed and conditioned ballpark, but what's going to be super special about this is the walls are all glass. They're all glazed, and enormous portions of them dramatically will open up to let the inside out and the outside in, to make it really part of the community. All right, I'm going to go one more. Ready? This is a view of the overall ballpark. Again, the capacity is 30,842. Smallest in Major League Baseball, but what's really special about it is that terrace level. Bottom left-hand corner, 5138. That's less than a third of what Tropicana Field's upper deck is. So there are great seats behind home. There are great seats above the dugout. Most of the other ballparks we do, PNC, Target, that upper deck is extending to the foul poles. Here we're saying, let's keep those higher seats, those great seats, but stop them at the dugouts. And the seating types, all of these amazing pieces. We have never done a ballpark with this variety of seating types. Everything from press packs, party deck, fair pole shelf seats. It's not a foul pole, it's a fair pole. If the ball hits it, it's fair. Fountain boxes, picnic suites. There will be There will be kid zones and a variety of places for socializing and gathering. This is a view over the first base dugout. These are four tops or half moon seats. This is 4 seats all around the circle of the table. What it allows you to do is, as a group of 4, you're all socializing with each other, as opposed to the person 4 seats down in a row. It's difficult to communicate with. We see video board and patios. Those are 2 patios directly behind home. Those are places, again, where you can socialize, gather, and have views of the field. So a view from that location. I mean, besides being just a phenomenal view of the field, we have this huge glass wall that is framed by 2 video boards. And you can see under that glass wall is the wall that opens up, batter's eyes in the center, sand seats to the left of that, fountain seats, and picnic suites. So this is a fountain seat. How about integrate those seats right into the fountain? One of the coolest things that we'll ever see. There was a question about how's the sound going to be. You'll get some speakers in there. It'll be magnificent. And then to the left of it is picnic suites. So this is sort of a casual viewing area. It's almost, think of a backyard barbecue. I think we'll have issues if we're barbecuing inside, but it would be picnic tables, wood benches, picnic blankets, a casual way for patrons or families to watch the game. And then beyond food and drink, it is not about revenue generation and how many hot dogs can we sell. The Rays have never been about revenue generation. They are about fan experience. They want the experience of serving food, of serving drink, and of socializing to really be number one. Socializing with players, or at least interacting with players and allowing players to interact with fans at these bullpen bars, these bullpen niches and overlooks that look right down into the bullpen. And then beyond to the left, you can see brew pub, beer garden, outfield market. I worked on the roof deck at Target Field, and it's really nice, and it's it's got lots of great amenities and lots of great seats. The downside is it's 4 or 5 stories up, and in this case, we can take that kind of amenity in a smaller, more intimate ballpark, bring it down to the concourse for great viewing, great socializing, and great baseball. Now I'm going to pass it back to the famous Joe Spirit.
All right, we'll see if I can work this any better than Lauren did.
It's an ongoing challenge.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly challenged, particularly with my iPad here. Okay, so a little bit about the roof here. We would light in a ballpark, which I think is what the Tropicana Field suffers from. It's sort of a dim place. Norm mentioned the expansive glass windows, the operable glass behind home plate. I think that's great. I think that's a smart move. We talked with the Rays about an operable roof. Turns out the site's not big enough to accommodate that. Plus, their question to us was, well, if I can only open that roof 8 games early season and 8 games late season, is that really worth it? So that gives you a little bit of insight into their mindset and how practical they are. So we wanted the roof itself, the big roof of the dome, to be as clear as possible, which, as any engineer will tell you, very difficult to do in South Florida. We did a rugby park in New Zealand. It's quite cold there. That roof can be completely clear. Our engineers here said this is not a good idea. So you can see the wing shape to the left of this image is basically a hard roof. It's heavily insulated. That helped us meet the energy code and be sustainable. And the roof towards the outfield is translucent. There's still a lot of work to be done with that, but we think that it will be a pretty successful solution. You can also see a little bit in this image that the two architectural treatments that we have settled on here. To the left, it's pretty curvilinear, pretty organic. It's a larger scale. It backs up to the Selma Freeway. To the right, it's all about Ybor City, and what we're trying to do is make gestures that will make this seem to be a good neighbor and honor Ybor City. There we go. So here you can see that, and right under the Tampa Bay Rays ballpark sign, that's the 30-foot tall glass wall that Norman talked about that opens up. So, we've created a condition here where on a nice day you can open that. It's a lot more cost effective than trying to do an operable roof. You can also see the beginnings, and I don't believe by any stretch of the imagination we're there yet, but the beginnings, the suggestion of the idea that we're going to design 4th Avenue side of this ballpark to be copacetic and in scale with Ybor City. We see that space as being pretty active. I think Mel and Norm both mentioned the idea that it would be open 24/7. Basically, it's a food and beverage kind of experience there. It would be 2 stories. It would be open to the concourse that's 24 feet up from the street, and also open to the street level. We're also talking about the idea, at least, of closing half of 4th Avenue to create sort of a Yawkey Way kind of experience. I don't know, I'm seeing some heads nod. So Yawkey Way is the street outside Fenway Park in Boston, and they close Yawkey Way at game time. It becomes a giant street fair, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. So here's a detailed view of that portal, that window into the ballpark behind home plate. This is on the Adamo side. This view is actually taken as though you're driving the wrong way and looking to the left at the ballpark. You get a glimpse in, but most importantly, you get a glimpse out. And we think that that's important. Our most successful ballparks are the ones that are the most porous, the ones that are most open, the ones that are most friendly. So we thought this was a pretty important gesture to connect the ballpark back to the city of Tampa.
Even though this is a way cool design, I want to let you know that this building is going to be a really innovative, efficient, and sustainable building as well. And I want to start talking about the accessibility of this building. The building is designed that our site designers are going to talk about the perimeter of the building, but the building really reaches out to those gestures so that the building is completely accessible to all the different parking and transit modes that are being planned for the Ybor area to get fans into and out of the ballpark easily, as well as the parking areas that are around the ballpark in Ybor City. So in this image here, you see again that openness, that inside-outside that we want to enforce in the building. Not only do we want to enforce that inside and outside, but that accessibility of being easy to get into and up to your seat. So all kinds of different entrances, all kinds of elevators and escalators to get you up to the concourse, wide 40 and 50-foot wide concourses to circulate around to your seat, easy signage to get you to and from your seat, and not only just to your seat, but all of your fan base. The seniors in the Rays fan base, easily accessible for ADA and different accessibility issues. This will be a completely accessible ballpark. There we go. We also want to talk about how flexible this ballpark is. The flexibility, not only will the ballpark be tailor designed for baseball and a premier Rays baseball experience, but it will be a flexibly designed ballpark to really be serving the community off event time. So concourse courses can be utilized, open to the public on non-baseball times. Different sized meeting spaces and so forth around the ballpark that can be used by the community and other people. So the idea is not just to be a wonderful baseball experience, but to be flexible and open to the community, that we're going to show you some more of those types of concepts in a bit. And last, but certainly not least, is we want the ballpark to be smart and sustainable. What does that mean? Well, this building is a big building. This is almost a 900,000 square foot ballpark, and it has to have state-of-the-art controls. Well, those controls will control the lighting systems, the air conditioning systems, the safety and security systems, so they will be state-of-the-art controls. And we also want this to be a sustainable building. We're shooting for a LEED Gold certification for this building. How are we going to do that? A couple of means of that would be by use of photovoltaic or PV panels. You can see them here in the image on the roof. We're planning for almost 200,000 square feet of PV panels. And again, in this image, you'll see it here where there's some green roofs. These are methods for us to obtain LEED certification points, but it's also the right thing to do. Along with this is that we want the building to be as sustainable as possible, so its waste management and recycling systems will be as state-of-the-art as possible, because a building like this with 30,000 occupants does create quite a bit of waste, so we want to be as good to the environment as possible. All right, next we're going to bring up Keith and Brian to talk about the site.
You got the button, go for it. Again, Keith Grimminger with Kimley Horn, urban planner and architect.
Brian Smith from Populous. I'm also an urban planner and architect from Kansas City.
So we're going to walk you a little bit through the site and how we came about zeroing in on that site. As you can see from the photo, the site is currently tremendously underutilized. It sits on the urban edge of two major districts, our downtown and Ybor itself, and was an old industrial use. We believe that that opportunity has passed and time to update it.
Yeah, when I first came, when Mel was nice enough to take us out and take a look, our team and Keith, it was very apparent, Ybor City is charming beyond belief, right? 7th Avenue, the wonderful little residences, but there are pieces that need help, and this is one of those pieces.
So situated between the downtown core and Ybor itself, this promotes a tremendous opportunity for redevelopment. The placement of this facility at this location will spur development in and around its edges. So one of the things that when we began to work with the Rays and going through this process, they challenged us every step of the way, that every site we look at, how can it be the best and most accessible, the best property for the community, for the ballpark, for the team itself, and its fans. So we began to look at a variety of sites and zero down on this site. As you can see in this diagram, it sits not only in the center of the city with the urban core and Ybor, it's also the center of the Tampa Bay. It's the heart of Tampa Bay, between St. Petersburg and New Tampa, Lakeland, and Clearwater. Within a 30-minute drive distance around the ballpark, we capture 1.6 million of our community residents.
Yeah, as a planner, I'm like Keith, we love diagrams. We sort of live on them. And when you look at this diagram with the gray thing that looks sort of like a molar, you recognize that the blue dot, which is our site, is exactly where it wants to be in this region.
So the other thing that became very apparent is this site is at the nexus of existing and evolving transportation systems. It sits nestled between I-4, I-275, the Selman Expressway, Adamo Drive, but also has easy access to the streetcar and its expansion and evolution. We also are connected from a bike ped standpoint with the Selman Greenway, the Nucio Green Spine, the Riverwalk and its potential expansion up the Ybor Channel. It also has the opportunity to expand the water taxi service and hopefully the future water ferry service. The other thing that it also takes advantage of is the Amtrak station just down the street on Nucio, and the opportunity the Brightline brings to the state is another huge opportunity that we see at this site.
Yeah, so I've been, full disclosure, I've been doing this at Joe's pleasure for about 25 years now. And I honestly don't know of a project site that I've come across that has such a variety of transit options available to it. And this is where we're headed. You know, the days of a ballpark where everybody drives their car right up to the ballpark, that's kind of 5 years ago. This is where it's going, and from my perspective, this is almost as perfect as it can be. It's really, the opportunities are unbelievable.
So, as Mel mentioned earlier, and so did Joe and Norm, you know, the opportunity of how this facility works with the surrounding neighborhood. It's a strong gateway to that neighborhood. As this diagram shows, all the north-south streets, be it Channelside, 14th Street, 15th Street, they all come to the building's main entrance, both in the east-west direction as well, on 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, and 4th Avenue. So this opportunity for the ballpark to be welcoming its neighborhood into it is an important part of the diagram.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, the site is on a bit of an underutilized part of Ybor right now. You know, Keith and I both agreed as urban planners to locate this ballpark on 7th Avenue is probably not the right move. 7th Avenue, the fine grained texture of the buildings, placements there, not really very ballparky. Off to the edge, north of Adamo, I mean, it's, again, I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but it's almost a perfect site with perfect proximity to 7th as a way to spur new development activity and enhance the existing districts. It's really, really cool.
All right, parking. You know, parking is the leading issue in almost every project, especially one of this scale with the amount of patrons, participants that you have here. This site has an opportunity to really work with what we're redefined good parking sources by walkability. That first 5-minute walk or quarter mile is important. Within this site, we have recognized about 4,400 parking spaces within that first quarter mile, that 5-minute walk. 1,000 of it which will be a garage developed. But then that next 5-minute walk, that 10-minute walk, we now have captured approximately 10,000 parking spaces. As we've done our studies for these large facilities, you know, about 2.8, 2.9 visitors per vehicle, you know, with a 30,000 seat stadium, that 10-minute walk captures the biggest portion of that. But yet, as we go further into the city and into the core, that next section, a 20-minute walk within a mile of the downtown core, we capture over 23,000 parking spaces. So we know there's going to be an opportunity that others may take other means. It's going to be important that we utilize these other means. Mobility is transforming. Parking is one of the most dynamic aspects of developing and design for any product type, especially for a facility of this size.
Yeah, what's important to point out, many of you in this room probably know this, is the urbanization of ballparks, as that trend started 30 years ago, what really some smart person realized that, my gosh, all these people leave at 5 o'clock, they leave downtown for work, they don't, Keith, you probably work on the weekends, I try not to, but parking is open in the evenings and weekends for people. So the inventory is so available, and it's just a great way to maximize a resource that's already there in terms of parking. The other thing I love about this diagram is it really starts to speak to the access off of 4, the Solomon, and 275 to downtown. There are so many interchanges right here that deliver you down to the Blue Dot, which is our site, and it's just, you know, it's a pretty fantastic thing.
Well, on the last bullet point here too is rideshare. Rideshare is one of the most dynamic features that is taking place right now. 5 to 10 years ago, a facility like this might hope to capture about 10% of its population base. Now we're at 20%, and we see going 25 to 30% very rapidly And the utilization of those other mobility options, rideshare in particular, is huge as we move forward with designing this facility. Now the fun stuff.
Over the last 2 years, and it sounds like a crazy amount of time, but 2 years we've been working with our key partners to define and redefine and refine the total project cost. And many of them are here in the room today. We've got Hunt in the room, we've got Beck in the room. I don't know if I've seen Joe, but Kimmons helped us significantly as it relates to the infrastructure costs, Kimley Horn. And so we've been looking at that, this potential project cost for quite some time now. Again, trying to define and refine it. Our approach was really similar. Norman had mentioned our spring training project. You know, we're not looking to build the biggest, most expensive, shiniest thing. What we want to do is create the best experience for our fans while trying to spend less than everybody else has spent. We're committed to building a smart and efficient building, like you heard earlier. And so we spent over a year with contractors and subcontractors running detailed roof risk analysis. The roof, as you'll see, is a very big driver of cost for this ballpark. And so we wanted to make sure, I can't tell you how many different roof ideas we had. One time it was 8, then it was 12, then it was 3, then it was 2. We have looked at so many different roof options to make sure that what we were putting forward was, as I talked about before, elegant, efficient, and economical. So we looked at everything from time of design to energy efficiency, constructability, you name it, we took a look at it. And we really landed on what you've seen today, which is an orthogonal grid shell roof that's not just beautiful, but we think it's functional. The total ballpark project cost is $809 million. That cost includes over $244 million for the ballpark roof, which is about 30% of the total cost, and about $13 million in site work. And site work is things like bringing the elevation up to make sure that you can, meet floodplain requirements, things like that. Much like there would be in many other locations, infrastructure upgrades are required to support the ballpark, and these include necessary public realm, public safety, mobility, resiliency improvements, as well as a new 1,000-space parking garage to support the ballpark and neighborhood development, and a new pedestrian bridge to allow people to safely pass over Admo. And so that number is about $83 million, and so the total overall project cost is $892 million. So the $809 million ballpark, that's our number, but it's not just a ballpark, it's a real community asset. And so Brian's going to talk a little bit more about that.
So I'm Brian Auld. I am the other team president, in addition to Matt. I guess since he was the opener today, I'll be the closer. And I want to thank you all for being here. And I want to thank you, most importantly, for your willingness to embrace and approach this project with an open mind. So many people in this room have become friends of mine and certainly of this organization over the last many years. And it's a true honor to be here talking about this incredibly exciting vision today. We have an opportunity to reshape the Tampa area, the Tampa Bay region, Hillsborough County, and of course the city of Tampa. And I want to note first that we realize and recognize we're stepping into something already progressing beautifully. The landscape of downtown Tampa is changing. Whether we talk about Water Street, the phenomenal Eulalie restaurant, Armature Works, Curtis Hickson and Julian B. Lane Parks, the entire riverfront, literally transforming before our eyes these last handful of years, and doing so in an intelligent, thoughtful, and beautiful way. It's now time to bring Ybor City into the equation. Ybor City is the definition of local authenticity. It is brimming with a multicultural history, and it has an incredible baseball story to tell too. Jackie Robinson stayed at the Jackson House. Babe Ruth cavorted at the Columbia Restaurant. I encourage you to ask Richard Gonsmark to tell you some of those stories if you get a minute. And further, there may not be an area in the region, and it's my suspicion in the entire country, that is more ripe for the kind of economic injection a ballpark can provide than Ybor City. We can be the catalyst that accelerates the growth of Tampa by decades. Tampa is growing beautifully, intelligently, thoughtfully again. And this ballpark stands on the shoulders of the leaders, the visionaries, the giants that have brought this city to what it is already today. And that's one of the best cities in the United States. We are building more than just a ballpark. We're building a year-round facility capable of serving all people in this region every day of the year. At its simplest, it's a porous building. We want you to be able to walk through it on your way from point A to point B. We want it to be open for you to drop by with your kids, let them run in the outfield on a winter's day when there's no baseball game. We want you to be able to get a cup of coffee, sit down, jump on the Wi-Fi, and get whatever work you have done. The building should be available to you at all times. Oh, this thing is tricky. I assumed it was the old guys. All right. I didn't realize it was on. That landed better than expected. The restaurants will be open every single day. We certainly want people to visit all the retail environment that we'll have, but we're also going to leverage our ballpark through strong partnerships. And so the first one we have here is simply using our playing surface as a public park. You see where our outfielders diving, we could be having a group yoga session. We want to try to program this to use that land space whenever we can. And the fact that it's turf and the fact that it's climate controlled makes it all that much easier to do. We want to make sure that we use... Oh, man, I really made this happen, huh?
You're an old guy.
That was the obvious. I'm not a young person anymore. We know we need world-class training facilities, and our athletes are going to get the absolute best care, and we want to use those same facilities in cooperation with local partners to build a world-class wellness center for the community as a whole. Did it twice, it's staying. We're going to have any number of family amenities. And we want to make sure that those family amenities, including the playground you see here, are available to kids, again, all year long, all year round, and the ballpark is open and available to them. They told me not to point it down. Finally, we're going to have a kitchen facilities that can serve 30,000 people food at any given moment in time. And we want to make sure that we can leverage those as well. We want you to be able to have a culinary institute there, perhaps use them for community kitchens. Whatever it is the community needs, we think we can use our facility to provide even more of. And I did mean finally here, outfield concourse will be part of the public realm. We'll have any number, we're going to use our suites and any of the number of event spaces we have as areas where people can do work. If you happen to need a spot with some Wi-Fi, bring your laptop, have a short meeting. Why not have it at a beautiful site with beautiful views all around? Oh man. And the ballpark, which I consider to be a work of art in and of itself, and the kind of an icon that's going to demand that everybody who visits our great airport has to visit before they leave town. We want them also to showcase the public artwork. Melanie referenced the murals that we have. Any other number of public artworks can be on display here as well and visited on a regular basis by so many in our community. We will execute on this vision through strong partnerships that have been developed over years, but we'll remain true to our core values throughout. And that means that we'll seek opportunities to educate and train through our construction process. It means that we'll involve small, women, and minority-owned businesses every step of the way in the construction and ongoing maintenance of our ballpark. This organization, the Rays, is a proud organization. We've been around for 20 years now, and while that's an infancy in Major League Baseball's terms, we've been fortunate enough to have a World Series, 4 playoff appearances, to have worked incredibly hard to ingratiate ourselves with this community, to have partnerships with just about every nonprofit organization in the entire region, and to stand up for important issues surrounding diversity and inclusion whenever we can. We've built a tremendous fan base through the way we've operated and run our business, and through all those games that we've won and continue to win. It's evidenced by our impressive television ratings all over the Tampa Bay area. We're a large employer, we're an economic engine, and we're a tourist attraction. We try to do, in every way that we possibly can, we try to be the corporate citizen that this great community deserves. We mentioned our mission at the beginning, I'm going to reiterate it here, to energize the community through the magic of Rays baseball. We do that through incredibly strong partnerships. The partnership we're trying to launch today will be the most important one of those going forward. Now I know the people here are going to want to know who's paying how much for what. We do not have those answers yet. What we have is the scope of a project and the total cost for that project. And every bit as important, we have public servants, elected officials, an energized volunteer community group in Tampa Bay Rays 2020, and an owner and organization who are all committed to finding a solution to getting this project done, because we believe this vision can be truly transformative. We believe that it's a very compelling investment opportunity for all of the Tampa Bay region, and certainly for everybody in this room. And so we will continue to work very hard to get to that solution. We're confident that we can do it, and we'll be as creative as we need to be along the way. I'm now going to introduce Ron Cristaldi, who's going to come up here representing Tampa Bay Rays 2020. He's going to say a few words about the business support, and I want to just thank Ron and Chuck Sykes, who's also here, and all the members of the Rays 100 and the Rays 2020 Advisory Group for the incredible support that you've shown us along the way, for the vision and the friendship that you've helped to put into this presentation and everything else we're going to be doing going forward. So, Ron.
If Matt was the opener and Brian was the closer, I feel like the kid who gets to go out on the field after the game and run the bases. Wow, what an extraordinary presentation. I'll admit that I don't have any prepared remarks because as I went to bed last night, I did not know any of the information that we all saw here. But I want everybody in the room to just take a moment and reflect on the gravity of this moment, what we're participating in here today. We have just witnessed what is another critical step on the path to an opening day here in Ybor City. We are witnessing really what is a tremendous step forward in ensuring generations to come of Rays baseball here in Tampa Bay. And as I look out at this room and I see so many friends and colleagues and community leaders, I realize with sure conviction that this is going to happen. This is a reality. This community, this Tampa Bay community has come together with the support of the Rays to make this happen. So Brian and Matt and Stu and Melanie and the entire team, on behalf of the Tampa Bay Rays 2020 and the Rays 100 and this entire community, from the bottom of our hearts, I want to say thank you for all that you're doing, and particularly the Rays 100. Join me in a round of applause for the Rays.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you. We try to save money every which way we can. We start with the AV budget. I know you have faith in us. We do more with less. At every turn, everywhere we can. It's been known as balling on a budget. We take that to every part of our business. We put a lot of sweat equity into things. We make sure to partner with people who we feel are really get it and want to do something special for a community and for an area and for what baseball can bring to an area. What you've seen today is really scratches the surface on what's to come, and in the ballpark there are so many incredible amenities that we obviously couldn't get into today. As it was, we were probably boring half of you a little bit. But thank you for you saying that. We've been through it, and we feel this with our hearts and our heads right now. The group of people you saw coming up here today have poured countless hours and energy into this to get to this day. And I give you my promise and my assurance that we're going to work much harder, sorry guys and girls, going forward to make this a reality. You've given your time and energy and effort to come here today and be a part of this, and for that we're very thankful. I speak for the whole Rays organization and the 20 years we've had here today with Vince as our founding partner, and I've picked up the ball here beginning in 2005, and we expect to be here for generations to come.